ਕੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਕਿਸਮ ਦੀ ਦਰਦ ਤੋਂ ਪਰੇਸ਼ਾਨ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਹੋ? ਹੁਣ ਫਿਕਰ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਨਹੀਂ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਸਿਰਫ 90 ਸਕਿੰਟਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦਰਦ ਤੋਂ ਰਾਹਤ ਪਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਮਾਰਕਸ ਫਾਰਮੇਸੀ ਦੇ ਐਲਨ ਗਲਾਸਰ, ਜੋ CKNW ਤੇ ਸ਼ਨੀਵਾਰ 6 ਵਜੇ ਸਿਹਤ ਸੰਬੰਧੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ, ਨੂੰ ਆ ਕੇ ਮਿਲੋ ਤੇ ਆਪ ਪੁੱਛੋ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਦਰਦ ਖਤਮ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ। ਇਸ ਐਡ ਦਾ ਹਵਾਲਾ ਦਿਓ ਤੇ ਮੁਫਤ ਕੰਸਲਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਲਓ। ਯੂਨਿਟ 101 8035 120 ਸਟਰੀਟ ਡੈਲਟਾ, ਕਾਲ 604 596 1774।
ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਸੈਗਮੈਂਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮੁਲਾਕਾਤ ਕਰਾਵਾਂਗੇ ਐਲਨ ਗਲਾਸਰ ਨਾਲ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਇੱਕ ਫਾਰਮਾਸਿਸਟ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਲੀਨਿਕਲ ਇੰਸਟ੍ਰਕਟਰ ਨੇ ਯੂਨੀਵਰਸਿਟੀ ਆਫ ਬ੍ਰਿਟਿਸ਼ ਕੋਲੰਬੀਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ। ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਵਿਸ਼ਾ ਜਿਸ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਇਨਫੋਰਮੇਸ਼ਨ ਲਵਾਂਗੇ ਉਹ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਆਮ ਤੌਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹੀ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਉਮਰ ਵੱਧਦੀ ਹੈ ਤਿਵੇਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਬੋਨਸ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਵੀਕ ਹੋਈ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ। ਕਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਦਾ ਧਿਆਨ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਜਾਵੇ ਕਿ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਏਜਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਬੋਨਸ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਸਟਰੋਂਗ ਰਹਿ ਸਕਣ, ਔਰ ਇਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਐਲਨ ਗਲਾਸਰ ਨਾਲ। Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Harpreet.
Thank you. So today, let us know that as we age, it is a general thing that, of course, your bones start weakening. But despite that, what are the things which should be kept in mind so at least we are in a moving condition, we just don't sit down as we age?
That's right. You know, Harpreet, the biggest reason that our bones get weaker is we don't move enough.
Okay.
So it's the old story, either use it or lose it. Okay? So
right.
Unfortunately that happens with muscles.
Right.
If we sit around and we don't move except to watch television, you know, get up from the bed, go to the washroom, whatever's not used, the body starts to lose
right.
strength. So the biggest problem with bones is that we don't stress them enough. Now,
Okay.
how do you stress a bone? Well, you got to remember your muscles are attached to bone at one end or the other, and when you move your body, when you pick things up, when you just even walk with your legs, that's actually moving your muscles, making
Right.
them stronger, and every time you move, you stress the bone. That stress is really good, and it builds new bones.
Okay.
Just like you can build new muscles if you lift up iron, you go for long walks,
Right.
your muscles get bigger, your bones get stronger too.
Okay.
So that's the number one reason. Now, for
Right.
whatever reason, we find women more than men get more bone loss.
Right.
So is it because men have more physical labor to do over the years?
Right.
So that by the time they're 60 or 70, you don't see as much bone loss. Whereas women are more sedentary. That means that they sit around more.
Right.
They don't stress their muscles like men do,
Okay.
and therefore the muscles are weaker, and so are the bones.
Right.
So we have a number of ways to help people.
Right. So one thing which we generally hear is that milk is a good source for keeping your bones strong. Is it good for elders also?
It's milk. What's in milk is calcium.
Right.
Now you don't always have. Now you get calcium from milk. You get calcium from cheese. You get calcium from meat.
Right.
Okay. What makes the muscles move actually is dependent on the calcium in that muscle. So when
Okay.
you eat red meat or chicken or pork or whatever, that makes muscles move.
Okay.
And that's actually got calcium.
Right.
Also, obviously, if you're vegetarian, you need to make sure your sources of calcium are
Right.
there too. You know, I just, since I'm not necessarily vegetarian, I can't remember all the vegetarian things, but
Right.
the soya products,
Right.
I'm sure have calcium
Oh,
in it.
yeah.
And a lot of vegetables, if you go look on the internet, there's vegetables that contain a lot of calcium in it too.
Right. Okay.
If you can't do that or get enough, well then we do have calcium tablets.
Okay.
Now, we have been telling women to take more calcium for the last 20 years,
Okay.
30 years. And yet, why today do we even have more problems
Right.
with thinning bones in an aging population than we did even 20 years ago?
Right.
Because I don't think it's just calcium. It's number one, getting out and exercising. So actually moving your body, making your muscles move, even sitting, you know, women, if they're in their kitchens,
Right.
they can grab 2 cans of peas, and if they just move them on their arms
Right.
and do squats, so they're by the sink and just squat down and get up.
Right.
Doing those squats, going where your knees kind of perpendicular,
Right.
that is enough stress. If you do 10 squats, you know, 2-3 times in a day. It sounds funny,
Right.
but it will help because you're moving your muscles and you're lifting your body, you will help make your muscles stronger, and you'll help make your bones stronger.
Right.
That stress It's good stress on your bones to get them stronger. Because in my opinion, from the information I've seen, most of us get more than enough calcium.
Right.
We don't get enough exercise.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing. Number two, what we lack in our diet is silica. Now,
Okay.
this best source is silica, which is from bamboo. Silica is the most common element in the earth,
Right.
but we need to absorb it.
Okay.
And it makes a good structure onto which our calcium can build itself.
Right. So what age onwards should you start taking this silica?
About 40 plus.
40 plus.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Age 40 plus, you can take silica. This particular one, you need to take at least 2 a day.
Okay.
That gets you a good base so you can build good bone structure.
Right.
I've even seen results where people, it takes at least like 9 months to a year to see an increased bone structure. We've done
Right.
bone density testing, that's how we do this.
Right.
When people are taking extra bamboo silica or silica in their diet, at the end of 9 months to a year, they can see stop of the thinning of the bone and actually start rebuilding.
Okay.
That,
Wonderful.
along with, of course, exercise to stress it, and lots of vitamin D. We're
Okay.
talking about 4,000 units of vitamin D
Okay.
to 5,000 units a day to
Right.
make a difference
Uh-huh.
to help build good bones.
Mm-hmm.
And typically the government says two. In my research, I have seen 4,000 to 5,000 being recommended and being effective, and it will not harm our bodies. We
Right.
need that to help build good, strong bones.
Right. What about prescription drugs? Now, many times prescription drugs also, do they also have some impact on the bones?
Yes, they do. So the drug companies have figured out, okay, so what happens in our body? We build new bones up,
Right.
and we take old bone away.
Okay.
It just, the body recycles itself,
Right.
right? That's what happens. But as we age, we keep taking the bone away, but we're not building it up, right? That is not because, again, if you don't exercise, if you're sitting around,
Right.
and you may not eating right, you're not going to build new bone.
Okay.
So the rate at which we take away bone is now faster than the rate at which we are kind of building up new bone.
Okay.
And so the drug companies figured out not how to build new bone,
Right.
because it's easy.
Yeah.
Exercise,
Mm-hmm.
diet, take some
Take-
bamboo sil,
Right.
take some vitamin D, and that will build new bone.
Right.
A prescription drug will slow down taking away old bone.
Okay.
Okay? So
Right.
we slow down how our bone destruction,
Right.
and that will leave us more bone.
Mm-hmm.
The flip side of that problem is that old bone is very brittle.
Yeah.
So even though the density looks okay,
Right.
it's not as strong as you building a lot of new bone.
Right.
So you're still subject to fractures. As a matter of fact, that's one of the problems of taking these drugs is it causes fractures in the femur. This is the
Okay.
large bone
Yeah, yeah.
in your thigh.
Right.
It can break. It is a side effect of taking these
Those
bone-
prescription drugs.
the
Okay.
prescription drugs. Another side effect is esophagus, ulcers in your esophagus.
Right.
And a third one is you can get the jaw bone goes dead.
Okay.
Okay, so the bone destruction happens.
Right.
And you lose the jaw and you lose your teeth. So that's requires surgery.
So as a substitute, you ought to have these substitutes so that the side effects are, the effect of that gets downsized.
That's right. It's just, especially in your 80s and 90s. Sometimes your 60s and 70s you can still handle these
Right,
medications. But
right.
as people get older, they get more sensitive to the side effects that we can
Right,
have.
right.
And so because we've had these bone drugs for 20 or 30 years,
Right.
and tens of thousands, if not millions of people are using them, we're finding some of these people, not everyone, of course,
Right.
but some of them are experiencing these problems.
Okay.
So that's why, I always advocate, if you can continue to move your body,
Right, that's the
you will-
best.
That is still the best thing. It will help
Absolutely.
grow new bone naturally.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for this information. But on a lighter note today, as you said that women do not work as much as men, I hope you get your dinner tonight at your home. Thank you very much. ਸੋ ਅੱਜ ਜੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕੀਤੀ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਗਿਆ ਕਿ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਏਜ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਬੰਦਾ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬੋਨਸ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਡੈਂਸਿਟੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਉਹ ਕਮਜ਼ੋਰ ਹੋਈ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ। ਉਸ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਬੈਂਬੂ ਸਿਲਿਕਾ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ, ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਵਿਟਾਮਿਨ ਡੀ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਲਿਆ ਕਰੋ। ਉਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੋਕ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਪ੍ਰਿਸਕ੍ਰਿਪਸ਼ਨ ਡਰੱਗਸ ਉਹਦੇ ਸਾਈਡ ਇਫੈਕਟਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਸਾਈਡ ਇਫੈਕਟਸ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਤਦ ਹੀ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਜੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਮੈਡੀਸਿਨਸ ਨੂੰ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹੋ, ਪਰ ਐਜ਼ ਅ ਸਬਸਟੀਟਿਊਟ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਦਾ ਉਤਪਾਦ ਹੈ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਵੇ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਉਸ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਘੱਟ ਉਹਦਾ ਅਸਰ ਹੋਵੇ।